I'm accused of being a shadowy secret figure, to being way too out there and having too many conversations with barbecue joint owners.
Does it survive you, or does it end with you? Is there an expiration date?
Yeah.
Okay, hey everyone, welcome to Smokeless. Today we're sitting down with a man who doesn't just eat barbecue. He documents its story, critiques its craft, and in many ways helps write the story, the history of Texas barbecue in real time. Daniel Vaughn isn't just Texas Monthly's barbecue editor. He's the only full-time barbecue editor at a major publication anywhere in the entire universe. It says world, but I embellished that a little bit.
Sounds better.
Fun. Yeah. His words can make pitmasters legends, spark heated debates, or challenge traditions that seemed untouchable. But beyond the brisket ratings and the top 50 lists, who is Daniel Vaughn? What shapes his palate, his perspective, and his sense of responsibility in a culture where smoke and fire mean so much more than food?
Wayne wrote this, by the way. This is fantastic. Thank you, Wayne.
Today, we're not just talking barbecue. We're talking about the man behind the pen, his blind spots, his surprises, and the legacy he hopes to leave when the smoke clears.
Welcome, Daniel.
Welcome,
Excellent.
my friend.
I haven't written a story with a pen for a really long time.
Yeah, he's just old.
Oh yeah.
You know,
He had
big
typewriter
chief tablet, number 2
out.
pencil.
My handwriting is
still work.
terrible. So.
Well, you know, coming from an architect, his handwriting is terrible. Like,
Yeah,
we're going to believe this.
I haven't lettered a drawing in a long time.
Yeah, but it doesn't leave you either.
I do write in all capital letters generally
of
when
course.
I write anything. Yeah.
It's just habit, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, your architect background. So tell us, I'm sure there's going to be people who have not heard of you before. I know it might seem weird on a Smokeless podcast, but we hope that that's going to be the case at some point. So why don't you give us just a brief history of how the hell did you get here in front of us right now? What brought you into the world of barbecue?
Yeah, well, I took the wrong exit off of 30.
I knew that was coming.
But
I was going to say,
Well, go back even further than that, right?
Okay.
I mean, how do you go from Ohio?
I am originally from Ohio. I grew up in Ohio, was born in a small town in Northeast Ohio, Worcester, Ohio, and spent my first 18 years there. And then I moved to New Orleans to be an architecture student at Tulane University. It's a 5-year degree. So after 5 years, I was looking for a job and I found a good one in Dallas. And so I moved to Dallas in 2001 and I have lived there ever since. And one of the first meals I had after moving to Dallas was at Peggy's Soup Barbecue. And not one of my first barbecue meals, but like one of my first meals after moving. And it just struck me as like, how did a rib like get this texture and this flavor? Like I only knew how to like overcook ribs in the oven and then finish them on a propane grill with a lot of burnt barbecue sauce on. And then this brisket like was completely foreign to me. Like I'd eaten brisket, but only as like corned beef. And so I was just really interested in like, how did this get on the plate? Like what sort of process did this go through to get here? And I'd eaten a lot in Dallas and enjoyed the barbecue in Dallas quite a bit. And, you know, going to the original Sonny Bryan's back when they still like sold out around 3:00 in the afternoon. And I just remember seeing these, it was really a blog. It was dallasfood.org. And it was really a message board. And he was talking about how terrible the barbecue in Dallas was, really, and compared to all of these great places like Louis Miller Barbecue in Taylor and all these spots in Central Texas. I was like, really, how much better could it be? Like smoked meat, like, and so I scheduled a trip. My buddy Sam Watkins and I scheduled a trip down to Central Texas using the 2003 Top 50 Barbecue issue, and it did change our complete perspective on what barbecue could be, because everything that we'd eaten up to that point we'd enjoyed, and all the stuff that we'd enjoyed after that trip, it was harder to come back and really enjoy it after eating at Louis Miller. And that was really the first, I know you've heard me say it before. You probably read it in the story about how much Louis Miller has changed so many people's lives and perspectives about barbecue. And I have the similar story. And so I came back though and decided that for D Magazine that I should pitch a story to them or an updated version of their best barbecue in the DFW area. And or it was best barbecue in Dallas. And I was like, we really got to expand this to the DFW area. We're going to have like 16 great places to actually call out here. And I thought, I remember thinking at the time, like, just nobody has done this to the depth required to find that hidden gem in DFW. Like, if I go to every place that has barbecue on their menu, like, I will find it. I'm going to find that like special place, that Louis Miller of North Texas, and it didn't exist.
So something about the cuisine that you experienced here really drove you to say, now my interest is not going to be any other extracurricular stuff. It's really going to be about this and finding and promoting of this, or just personal satisfaction.
Well, really, when I started, so I started a blog. It was actually a couple of years after that initial trip that I started the blog, Full Custom Gospel Barbecue. But when I started it was really for me to keep track of, for my own use, like, and not have to repeat the places that I didn't enjoy, and be able to return to the ones that I really did like. Right, like that was the whole point of it. It was more personal than it was to be of use to an audience.
Were you more critical then?
I was, definitely. I was more.
That's what I remember.
Well, and I was much more critical when I started at Texas Monthly too. I went back and read some of those early reviews. I just wrote about Bill Dumas, the sausage sensei, and when I wrote about his barbecue the first time at Smoky Denmark's, like, I was much more harsh, and I apologize to him for that, only for the fact that I'm really not that harsh anymore, because we have so many good barbecue joints in Texas. It's pretty much all I write about are the good places that I go to. And so I don't write critically all that often. And I mean, honestly, writing critically is a lot more fun. I mean, it just is. But our audience doesn't have the stomach for it. The number of complaints I get about people going to a barbecue joint that we recommended that they didn't enjoy, like, those are, they happen certainly, but they don't compare to when I write like something really negative about a place, like the response that I get, like, how could you say that? Why are you trying to shut them down? No, it's just like, it's and I think that is a change in food criticism in general. Like, the food criticism isn't as critical as it used to be. And I think it's more geared towards promoting good restaurants than it is critiquing restaurants that could be doing better.
And does that have anything to do with knowing that the words could impact someone's livelihood, or is it just because they have weight?
A lot of it really is goes back to what I think my mantra is, like, for my job, which is to connect people with good barbecue.
Right.
That's what I see as my main purpose in the role that I have. Yeah. The top 50 is certainly one of the ways in which we do that. But what I'm writing in those 3.5 years in between is writing articles about barbecue joints that I go to that I like, that have something that they serve that I really enjoyed, that I think you should go try.
So essentially, if it's something that you don't like, instead of being critical, you just don't write about it at all. You just
correct.
Write about,
yeah. I write about a third of the places that I visit, a quarter to a third of the places that I visit.
So is this an evolution from your custom barbecue days of is this a realization, or is this a feedback loop that has sort of helped guide your
it's a little bit of feedback.
Spirit.
It's a little bit of feedback. It's also that Texas Monthly would rather that I write just a couple of articles a week instead of like the 5 or 6 that I started doing. And so the idea is really to spend more time getting the story of the people who are running this barbecue joint than it is to just quickly get out reviews on food. Because as my writing has become less critical, really what is happening is I spend a lot more time writing about the people and their motivations and the circumstances that got them into barbecue. And I think that's as important as writing about the food. If you read my reviews from 12 years ago, it's really a lot about just the food and not a whole lot about the experience of the restaurant or the people behind that restaurant.
So you're writing this blog, you're still an architect, right? And you're discovering Texas barbecue as you're going through this process. Then how does that spin itself into a barbecue editor position with Texas Monthly?
Well, Pecan Lodge had a lot to do with that. And there
They
was
come up a lot,
well, there was this. There was a list that came out shortly after I published a list, or D Magazine published my list of the best barbecue in DFW. There was a list that came out from a food writer in the lead food critic of the Dallas Morning News about 8 months after that. And up to that point, she had shown very little interest in barbecue and had shared really nothing of barbecue visits on social media. And so she came up with this new list of her favorite barbecue joints. It just happened to be that 9 of her top 10 were in my top 10, except one, Pecan Lodge, which had opened after I published my list, and I had written glowingly about it at the time. So I called her out on it and was like, not even like a shout out for me doing all your research. Like, this is like, you cribbed my list. And to make a long story long, all right. So then Anthony Bourdain had a particular beef with this food writer in the past for slamming one of his cookbooks when she was writing for the LA Times, and or writing in LA. I don't remember which publication. And so he saw this like kerfuffle in Dallas about a blogger versus an established food writer, and he of course just laughed at the idea that she was looking bad in this situation. And so I was working on a book proposal at the time, and my agent, David Hale Smith, had just moved to a different firm. He had been working as a book agent independently, and he moved to Inkwell Management, who was also representing Anthony Bourdain at the time. Anthony Bourdain had just announced that he wanted to publish a line of books, and David went to the people at Inkwell, who he was still pretty new with, and was like, I've got the perfect first book for Anthony Bourdain's line. And they bought it, and it all worked out. And so I started doing research out on the road all over Texas for that book, and that got me rolled into Texas Monthly. They were basically using a lot of my research to help them with their top 50 in 2013. And as we were moving up through, or as I was moving through the process of writing that book, I became less and less interested in architecture and more interested in the idea of being a food writer or making barbecue my life somehow. And I remember going to the Southern Foodways Alliance symposium that was all about barbecue in Oxford, Mississippi in November of 2012. And I had the book deal at that time. I was in the midst of the research, and I started the weekend introducing myself as an architect, and nobody gave a shit. And by the end of the weekend, I'm like, I'm an author. Like I'm writing a barbecue book right now. And everybody was a lot more interested in me at that point. And so I called Jake Silverstein, who was the editor at Texas Monthly at the time, on the way back from that trip, and said, I think we should do more with barbecue at Texas Monthly. I'd been writing a couple of freelance articles here and there. I was like, I think when this top 50 list comes out, like we should just have that as a jumping off point of much more coverage in barbecue on Texas Monthly, maybe like a full-time position. And I've got a good idea of who you should hire for that. And that was in October. That was in October and November of 2012. And by February of 2013, I had signed a contract and started my job with Texas Monthly in April that year.
It's phenomenal. I
did not know that.
The most, it's people take the most interesting journeys to get to their barbecue destinations, and that one ranks right there.
Right.
But one of the lessons that I draw from that is, I've told that story before, and I get it retold back to me. It's like, oh, it's about the passion and the drive. And I was like, no, it's luck and good timing.
Yeah, sure.
Like there's much luck and good timing that made all that happen, that there were other barbecue bloggers out there at the time. It just didn't work out the same for them. And yeah, it's not about having the right amount of passion and the right amount of drive like that. That certainly helps, but it really required a lot of luck and good timing to make it, to turn into the position of BBQ editor at Texas Monthly.
Right. And Texas Monthly had just come off of that '08 list, which was a record setter for sales for them, right? Number of issues actually sold, I think, would sat at the top for a long time. So
Yeah, and it's always our best-selling issue when it comes
Yeah.
out. It's always the best-selling issue of the year, but it's not always our most profitable issue
right.
because it does cost so much to put together as far as the travel expenses and all the expenses of the food itself.
But you're right in the middle of the farm to table movement, right? And you're also right in the heart of network television adopting food as a curricular side and interest for tens of millions of people, right?
And a huge rise in interest in the idea of like artisan food.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, if we're the word certainly gets overused, but if you're talking about like an artisan food, like a real craft, barbecue certainly fits that mold.
Yes.
For sure.
And the equipment that you use to make it, for the most part being, very unmodern technology.
it's primitive.
It's fire, it's smoke, it's meat, it's made in a kitchen that if any other restaurant kitchen was at the same level of cleanliness as a pit room, we'd be like, what is happening here?
Yeah. Truth.
Yeah. So from there, then you're now an integral part of creating this Mount Rushmore of barbecue gods. Do you realize that? I mean, you know that, right? But you didn't know that at the time, I would think. Or did you?
No, it wasn't. I mean, I really just wanted to be on the team, on the search team back in 2013. And when I took on the job, like as a full-time position, I mean, my main goal was just like, oh, great. Like now I got an expense account to drive all over the state and eat at all these barbecue joints. Like I have this giant map, a Google map that I used back then and I still use now. It's got green dots and red dots, and the red dots are the places I haven't been. And I still like, I got to get to these red dots. I got to turn them green. Like I got to get to all these spots and try them all because that's the only way you can find the hidden gems.
Yeah.
You got to go to them all. And
Yeah.
it's a lot harder these days to find one that like nobody has already written about or covered or
And you're expanding beyond Texas now too. I mean, you're exploring barbecue.
I
joints.
expanded beyond Texas. Let's
Yeah.
not use it in the present tense because I don't know if I can do that United States of Texas barbecue list again. I did that. It covered 30 some states and tried all the Texas style barbecue outside of Texas that I could, but that was a huge undertaking. I was I was getting a little bored, and I knew I had some time before we had to kick off the search for the top 50 list for 2025. I convinced my editor that it was a good idea to pay me to fly all over the country and eat all this barbecue. And it was fun. It was really rewarding to try all the stuff and see how Texas barbecue, to see how Texas barbecue is spread. And yeah, there are some really fantastic barbecue joints out there.
And so 2 things about that. And I've kind of briefly talked to you about this before, about the article, United States of Texas barbecue. I feel like some of the joints out there, they're saying, well, we're the best in America, or, we're, which is, I don't think that was really your intention, but would you say that of the joints you tried that are not in Texas, that some of them could definitely, if they were in Texas, be contenders for the list? Because I've had
Absolutely.
I've had some great stuff out there. But I don't think that they get to say, regardless, that they're the best in America. That really wasn't the intent of that. It was just highlighting ones that are great outside of our state, who doing our style of barbecue, which, to be honest, Texas barbecue, I think is the style of barbecue that I think everyone's thinking about now. When you say barbecue today, it's Texas style barbecue. You go to any joint up and down the East Coast, and that's what they're all trying to do. They're cooking brisket, and they're doing all the stuff.
Tell them to stop.
Yeah, I mean,
they're squeezing our supply.
Finding a new barbecue joint anywhere that's not serving brisket is a challenge.
It's killing us, dude. And we're victims of our own success, right?
Yeah, there's still only 2 per animal.
Well, Jesus Christ, man, it's ridiculous.
This is where Texas barbecue needs to just evolve.
Okay, go ahead. Tell us about it.
Well, I mean, you look at a place like Leroy and Lewis, right? I'm not saying that every place needs to copy the way that they put their restaurant together. They have a menu that goes way outside of traditional barbecue. But one of the things that they're doing that is as old school as you can get is using all these different beef cuts and buying them locally.
Yeah.
They actually have a local Texas rancher, and they're using his beef. They use some other beef as well, but using their beef, and the same for their hogs too. So all those are Texas raised. And so that what that does is it forces them to use a good bit of that beef carcass and the whole hog.
Yeah.
And that's I think if as long as Texas barbecue remains completely dependent on just brisket as the beef cut, I think it's just not going to go well. It's just it's not going to get any less expensive. The name brisket has value to it when it's even put into like a burger. Oh, this is a 100% ground brisket burger. Like brisket itself has panache that it did not have before, that word. And so I think Texas barbecue needs to really go back to its roots a bit and look at other cuts that
Beef
we can
cuts.
cook, other beef cuts that we can cook, and so that we're not just dependent on that. And I know that beef has gone up in price across the board, but at least if you're cooking different cuts, you can do a little less of the expensive one this week and a little more of the one that's a little less expensive. But then I also don't run a restaurant, and I know that when I talk to barbecue joints all over Texas, that the most popular thing that is ordered at all of their restaurants is brisket.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's going to make a lot of people unhappy if the brisket isn't available. But
For sure. And
if
that's
you
why they come
can't,
there.
but I go back to this passion thing I hear from new barbecue joint owners or those who are doing, getting into the business in like a pop-up fashion or still doing part-time. Like, I don't care about making money. I'm doing this because I love it. It's the passion. It's like, well, if you don't make money at it, you're not going to be able to do the thing you love very
That's right.
long. Like you have to make money. That's got to be one of your guiding principles is this going to be profitable? And if it's not, then you're not going to be able to do it for very long.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the downfall for, I think, entry level for most small independent restaurants. I can cook well, or my wife can cook well. Somebody in the family does that well, but nobody has any restaurant operational or management experience, much less finance experience. How do we keep this thing afloat during downturns? And I think I think we're looking at one of those pivot points, these inflection points in our sort of history timeline of we've seen this increase in the number of places over time for the last 20 years. I think that we'll have to start seeing a retraction at some point because I just don't know how many people are going to look at this. And when they're so heavily dependent on just brisket itself, if they don't have a base already, the price point just may make it impossible for them to stay afloat. That in labor. So your prime cost is just blown out of the water. If we don't start taking maybe some cues from our Southern brethren, start looking at some more white meat options where we actually have some margins to play with, then I think you're going to see even more people start to bail on this until such point that we see pricing come back down because the demand has come back down.
I mean, we've had to bail on, prime was really accessible for a while and everyone jumped to prime. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people did. And it's just not tenable right now. I mean, at least not for us at the volume that we're having to buy. And so, we're having to just work our way around, making money because we are a business, but, still obviously striving to cook great barbecue. But, the choices you have to make to do that. That's one I think a lot of people are having to make right now is getting away from prime. And I don't know if the prime market's going to implode and, hopefully we'll have access to it again. That's, not insane.
Well, Ronnie Killen just told me that he is going to go all to Snake River Farms Wagyu briskets for the simple fact that they are more expensive than prime, but the difference in price that he's paying, the difference in price for them as raw per pound right now is like minuscule compared to what it was 5 years ago. And so it just hasn't risen very much because there's not that huge increase in demand for the Wagyu brisket specifically. And so he's like, well, I have to charge a lot for them, but at least like it'll stay there. But y'all are in the bad position of you got to be hating seeing these new spots pop up, and they can put whatever price on the board they want. And they don't get as many complaints because they don't have established customers like y'all. We're like, why are you raising your price?
And they're also cooking 6 or 8 sometimes versus 40, 50, 80, 120, like that both of those points true for sure.
And Daniel, you talked about the need for Texas barbecue to evolve. And I think that's true. I'm curious, how has your definition of Texas barbecue evolved over time from when you started early on to now?
Well, before I was writing for Texas Monthly and writing the blog, I thought like, okay, Texas barbecue is low and slow, and just it's all about brisket. It's all about low and slow and spare ribs and simple seasonings. And if it's not that, then it's not really like true Texas barbecue. And now I use that sort of as a punchline for people who argue the same things. Like, well, so you're saying like Crites Market is not Texas barbecue, or Smitty's, or a place like Cooper's who's cooking directly over the heat. So, I guess my definition of Texas barbecue is really widened to barbecue that's cooked in Texas. If it's a whole hog and you're cooking it in Texas, it's Texas barbecue. I mean, it's barbecue that's being cooked in Texas. Like, why do we have to worry if it's what the protein is? So yeah, I would say it's widened quite a bit. I would say I certainly love seeing some of the like immigrant cuisines coming in. And, I just went today. I ate at a place called Habibi Barbecue. And it is Lebanese barbecue. And it's run by this kid, Mark Faisal. And he's this great kid. He's like 19 years old. He's in college, and on Friday nights he serves a partial barbecue menu, and on Saturdays serves a full barbecue menu from his food truck in Arlington. And he's just bought a big new smoker, and I ate there a year ago, just right after he opened up, and he just asked for advice. He wanted some like serious feedback. And so I could tell that he really wanted to improve. And so I just laid it out there for him. And I said, and I don't want you to take this too harshly, but you're going to look back at this food that you're serving right now, and you're going to look at photos of it, and you're going to be embarrassed a year from now. If you keep at this and you keep doing this and you keep cooking into a fresh batch every week, like you're going to look back a year and you're going to be like, what was I serving? And I said, you're going to take that really harshly right now. And I just saw him today, and he's like, I remember what you said, and you are so right. Like, I look back at those trays of barbecue that I was serving a year ago, like, what was I thinking? And the barbecue is so much better. And so when I first wrote about it, it was because he was on this show called Barbecue High. And, this, at the time, 18-year-old kid who was doing this weekend only barbecue truck. But now I'm going to write about it as like, all right, this is like a serious barbecue operation going on. He's really improved and is really making great barbecue, and is doing it like, and he's really taken hold of the Lebanese side of his heritage in a lot of the cooking. Like, he's got a tabbouleh salad on the menu. He's got this Lebanese style slaw that he's serving, and also putting on top of his smash burgers. He's got pita bread underneath all the barbecue, so all the nice fat drips down onto the pita bread, serving it with like a yogurt sauce and then a garlic sauce. Anyway, so places like that, Smoke and Ash, also here in Arlington, doing Ethiopian barbecue, Egyptian barbecue, at KG barbecue, seeing that change the sort of flavor dynamic and the the seasonings into the meat, the way sometimes the meat is presented in like rice bowls and things like that. I think that sort of transformation is just a positive for Texas barbecue. But I also think that it's a statement on how you have to differentiate yourself in business if you want to draw in that finite group of customers to your barbecue joint. Like, what can you do differently instead of just going out and replicating a Louis Miller beef rib, or doing your own version of a stuffed baked sweet potato. Instead of just doing that, like, what can you bring of your own voice into the food that you're serving? And I think that does resonate with people, but I also think it's a way that the restaurateurs, they have to use that to really just, like I said, draw in that finite group of customers.
So as you're looking at all these different places that have opened, and each one has its different perspective, what's the common theme that you judge them by? If somebody has tabbouleh salad and somebody doesn't have tabbouleh salad, what's the criteria?
Yeah, just because you have mac and cheese doesn't make it like more authentic, right? It could still be terrible mac and cheese. You could also serve a terrible tabbouleh salad. And so for me, when I'm judging one barbecue joint next to another, it's really about the meat. Is really what it comes down to. And also trying to gain an understanding of what is their target, and whether or not I really like a sausage made this way, or really like let me say that again. Whether I really like a certain side item or what that's presented to me, is like, are they making it properly? Are they going through the right steps to make it? But the other thing is I get asked questions like that a lot because of the top 50, and it's like, that's really the only time that I'm like judging one place next to the other. Like, for the most part, I'm really just writing about a barbecue joint's food and how they came up with these different menu items, and how people are reacting to it, and how I enjoyed it on its own terms, not really in comparison.
So it sounds like this evolution that you're speaking of is more conducive in an urban environment than it would be in a rural environment. And a lot of that will have to do with palate. A lot of it will have to do with disposable income, population density, who can support more, I would say, fringe flavors, something they're not accustomed to. So do you see that there's a split in the barbecue industry in Texas anyway, where you have a further, let's call it more urbanized, chefy environment development in one branch, and more of a, we're holding true to just what we've done for God knows how long, or what the simplification of the palate is. Everybody's got salt and pepper on their table at home, so that's just what we're going to use, and stay the course in the smaller communities. If they're
it is definitely much. It definitely is a big rural urban divide that you're talking about. Like, there aren't a lot of rural barbecue joints that you're going to go to and find tabbouleh salad, or Lavaca Barbecue in Port Lavaca is really one of the outliers. They're in our top 50 list. They're in our top 10, and what they've been able to do in that little town just south of Victoria is they have turned themselves into a barbecue destination with this like big city style of barbecue. But they also have a second menu, which is like, here's our value menu, essentially. Like, here's our meatloaf sandwich, here's our chicken quarter special. Like, here's everything. Like, if you want to be a multi times a week customer at our restaurant, we have the value built into our menu and these certain things, but we also have the showstoppers. Now that's a lot to ask of a restaurant.
It totally is.
But I look at a place like Louis Miller, and it's almost like you're hampered by, or you could be. I don't know if you see it
in a lot of ways. Yes,
you're hampered by the tradition. Like, people expect this specific thing out of what you're serving, and if they show up and you're not serving that, it's like, why did I come here? Yeah. And I think newer barbecue joints have that freedom to be whatever they want to be. Whereas, like, if they come to Louis Miller and you don't have a big old beef plate short rib, like, what's happening?
Tiki torches and pitchforks come out.
Yeah. But I mean, that beef rib specifically, like, I did a story on Tyler's Barbecue, who will be here serving tonight at this event. And
Amarillo.
Yeah. So Tyler's Barbecue, I went in there a couple of months ago and I got a beef rib, and it was $16 a pound. And I saw it on the menu and I was like, what? It's a half pound? Like, what? $16 a pound. And get up to the counter. I'm like, I'm thinking I stole this thing, right? And I called him later. I was like, this is on purpose, right? On Saturdays only, they serve this $16 a pound. He's like, yeah, I could charge what I need to make money. And if I did that, then people would just be talking about the fact that they came here and ate a $50 beef rib. But now they talk about they came in here and ate an incredible beef rib. And he's like, I don't make any money on it, but I only serve like 4 or 5 racks on a Saturday. He's like, I wasn't going to really make a whole lot of money on that anyway. And so, it's just this like little secret
media loss leader for him. It's
right.
It's his
and so
gallon of milk.
So I was curious. I'm like, all right, when's the last time a Louis Miller barbecue beef rib was $16 a pound? And do you know?
It had to be, I was probably there still. It had to be early teens, early 2010, 11.
It was 2014.
2014.
So I went back and I just looked at old photos of the menus on Google, and I found one from somebody who came to visit your place in like January of 2014, and they took a photo of the menu.
Yeah.
And it was $15.99 a pound for the beef ribs.
Yeah.
But that is how quickly things changed in Texas barbecue, because I can't imagine that your beef rib price doubled from 2000 to 2014.
It did.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was like $8 a pound maybe in 2000?
Oh, no. I mean, well, no, because we were using chuck rib at the time.
Oh, that's right.
And so it was $1 less a pound, I mean, it's, 30% less than the plate. So yeah, it was, and he didn't, he was probably selling 5 racks maybe. So it was cheap. It was pretty cheap.
Yeah.
It would have been right there with brisket, I think, when he was, $8 a pound for brisket.
So I guess that was surprising to me that it was like 2014, that it was $16 a pound. I don't know. I guess I'm getting older because that doesn't feel like that long. I
was just going to say, It doesn't seem that long ago.
But it is 11 years ago. And
I mean, but the last 5 years has been, everybody's timeline is just screwed, right? Nobody feels the cyclical nature of what they remember from years past, from COVID on. Things have just not been the same.
Well, I remember as a kid hearing about the idea of inflation, and it never made any sense to me. It's like, why do the prices just keep going up? And also like these jumps, like these differences that we see, there had to be some like real jumps. Like this couldn't all just be gradual, right? And then 2020 happens, and you see how it's so non-gradual. Like those inflection points that you talked about have really shifted the value, the cost of everything, and that certainly has to be borne out by the customer in the end of the day.
It happened though remember the droughts of 11 like through 14. We saw brisket go up into the 4s that we were I was horrified, because it's like, I was, not that long ago paying $1.29 a pound. What am I doing paying 3 times as much for this? And it hung there. And of course it came back down, but it always settles above where it was prior to it taking off. Right. And I think we're in another one of those.
There's no more settling.
No, it'll drop back a little bit, but ultimately you're not going to see it below $4.50, $5 a pound on prime probably.
But is it tenable? And we talk about this a lot. At what point is it going to be that people are just like, yeah, I'm out, I'm not doing it?
Well, yeah, I mean, in places, the places that'll have to close is, I think, not because I think the places that'll have to close are going to have to, because the prices have to go up if they're going to remain profitable, and that is just going to mean a smaller customer base to draw from, and there's just not going to be enough barbecue customers that can afford it to support all the barbecue joints out there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wrote back in 2023, I think, that like we have too many barbecue joints in Texas, and I felt like then we were about to hit like a tipping point where places were just going to have to start closing, because there's too many options. Mm-hmm. There's just I'm writing right now, I'm updating all the barbecue guides, all the local barbecue guides, like for Dallas, for different cities around the state. And it's just like, there are so many places. Like, if you look at Houston and like around Houston, the places that I'm recommending, it's like, I got like 35 or 40 places that I can solidly recommend. Like, you're going to go get some good food at this barbecue joint.
Yeah.
That is a ton of
Houston
options.
in the last 10 years is really like up their game from next to nothing to suddenly making a huge imprint on the state, you know? And I think that's just the community there.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to very much be intertwined with each other.
Well, and
You know?
and that's just the difference in cities.
Mhm.
All across the state, really. I mean, a lot of that started with Pecan Lodge, with Lockhart Smokehouse coming into Dallas, and then you had Franklin Barbecue in Austin. And I just think for a long time, these cities just weren't seen as barbecue destinations. All the like barbecue destinations were rural.
Yes.
They were out in Taylor, Texas, or they were out in Llano, or Lockhart, or eventually Lexington. We think of Snow's as like this old barbecue joint. It opened in 2003.
Yep.
So I guess it is kind of old at this point, but
It's almost a classic. Couple more years.
It's definitely a classic. If you got Tootsie on the staff, it's a classic. She could open up a barbecue joint tomorrow and it would be a classic. But yeah, there is that big difference of the cities being real barbecue destinations, and that started about the time that I was becoming the BBQ editor, and has just really accelerated since then.
Yeah, I mean, yes. And I mean, but barbecue abandoned the cities a long time ago. They abandoned the downtowns a long time ago. It just got too cost prohibitive, I think. And it wasn't the type of cuisine most cities were looking to, bring in business clientele. It just didn't match demographics.
Because
right?
the barbecue that was served in cities there was a barbecue shack. It was a sandwich shack.
Right. Yes.
It wasn't someplace that you were going to go spend $150 on lunch for four
It had to
and
be
get
about
a big spread
the
and
drive. Like, hey, we're going to go out into some crazy part of town or out in the middle of nowhere to go to the spot.
Well, but that's what's developed, right? As you saw a decrease in the urban centers, you saw the fire still alive in these satellite small towns in and around. Nothing lasted interior, but a lot of the old places, they owned their building, they owned the land around them, so they didn't have a lot of large overhead. They themselves worked, maybe a couple of family members. I mean, they could run it. Their prime costs were just incredibly low, right? And so they could pull it off. And it's the places that I think survived because of it, especially like coming out of the 70s. 70s were horrible for downtowns of any kind. It just decimated them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, so the ones in the small towns are the ones that survived because they could. And their tax base wasn't pushing them out the door either,
right?
That they have no control over.
But I do miss the rush of the find out in the middle of nowhere, finding that barbecue joint that you hadn't heard about before. And, you could show off to your friends and things like that. I came into Stanley's not long ago. And before I did, I was at Bodacious Barbecue. And the guy I was standing out in front of the building with before they opened the doors, we were talking about barbecue a little bit. And he fancied himself not a barbecue expert, but he'd been to a lot of places in East Texas. I was like, oh, man. So you've been to Pat G's, right? He's like, no. What are you talking about? I was like, you live in Tyler and you've never been to Pat G's? Nope, never heard of it. I was like, I got a place. You got to see photos of this place. You got to get there. You got to go check it out.
It's one of those.
It's cool.
Too. Yeah, it's.
Have you been there, Justin?
I've never been. I've seen pictures.
Well, you just made it to Stanley's for the first time.
I did, which was amazing.
So
it was amazing.
So you got to you got to have another trip back to.
But having not been to Pat G, seeing the pictures of it, that's like the dream barbecue place to discover.
Right,
the little place in the middle of nowhere, run by an individual.
Yeah,
it's like the perfect. It's a unicorn kind of.
Except then the flip side of that is, it is that like mythical spot. It is almost like it's that story that's been retold over and over. Right, it is the picture of that. But the barbecue, it's not the best barbecue you're gonna eat. Like it's just it's satisfying. It's a good place to go in and get a sandwich, but like you go just as much for the experience in the place as you do the barbecue. Yeah. So it sort of proves the point of, all the best barbecue doesn't come from dilapidated shacks out in the middle of nowhere.
It's never been, the trip's never been about the barbecue. It's always just been about the trip. It's the 2-lane roads through the pine trees and, the experience of when you get there. And it's pretty incredible.
The best way to explain it, if you have never been there, is that when it burnt down, they were open 5 days later.
Yeah, that is the best way to describe it. It's just you walk in, man, and like I think one of the last times I actually went was with you, and it was in the winter time, and they heat the dining room with it's like a 50-gallon drum that's like a wood.
Now, come on, it's a proper like little potbelly stove there.
Is it now?
They have a stove.
And this place burned down?
I know. Can you believe it? It's all wood construction.
The smoke just like literally cut the room in half, like the sunbeam.
Yeah.
Like, you feel like you're stepping under the smoke when you come in, and I mean
you cannot
it's
go
cool.
back to work after a meal at Pat G's and people not know that you went and ate barbecue. Like
yeah,
you are
100%.
coated in smoke. When you order an iced tea, they're like, well, get over there in the refrigerator, the residential refrigerator, open up the freezer, and there's cups of ice in there. So grab yourself one and then fill it up with iced tea. And if you want the potato salad, they go get a tub, like a Tupperware, out of the fridge, scoop it out for you. When you ask for sauce, it's like some old mayonnaise jar or some sort that just has barbecue sauce in it, no lid, and they just pour it on straight out of that jar. It is an absolute throwback of a place. And I send people there, like I said, not so much because you're going to go get the best barbecue sandwich you've ever had, but you're going to go to a museum. Like you're going to, if barbecue has a Colonial Williamsburg, it is Pat G's Barbecue in Tyler, Texas.
Well, you got to, in a way, worry about places like that going away and that kind of extinction of that part of barbecue. You know, I mean, that's a very unique experience that is very hard to find now. I mean, there's a handful of places maybe where you can go have that experience now.
Yeah, I mean, so many of our storied barbecue joints are, they're not like humble buildings. I mean, Louis Miller might be an old building, but that place is like far from humble, right? It's like a cathedral. You walk into the place. Curates Market, the new one that they built in '99 is massive. I mean, Smitty's certainly still has that quality to it. Like, this is a special place. Like this building is special. But you're right. Like, the new barbecue joints, I mean, they're never going to get that same patina. And, for the most part, the health departments aren't going to let them operate in the way that's going to allow them to get that patina too.
No way. Yeah. No, I mean, that was a huge part of when I took Stanley's over. When you change ownership with an old place, like all the grandfathered stuff is out the window.
Yes, but you have maintained the character through all of the upgrades that you've done and the expansions and taking over the building next door. When you walk in that front door at Stanley's to go order barbecue, you still feel like this place has been around a while. Like I can tell because like the flow is all wrong, like standing in line versus people trying to get drinks and people going to the bathroom. Like, this is like you're working with what you had, with what you got, and you're making it work.
Yep. Well, trying to, and it's been fun. It's been amazing. So never trying to like be bigger. We can't really be bigger. We're just trying to be a better version of ourselves and work through those things that make it complicated and weird sometimes. But inevitably, we all are accustomed to seeing someone having no idea where to go. And that's a cool part of our job is just like, hey, you ever been here before? And then you get to meet somebody and be like, hey, let me show you. Come this way. And that's a huge part of what I love about it.
I will give you a tip though. It's a lot further drive from Dallas than going out to Tyler. But if you have never been to Kolochny Barbecue in Hallettsville, Texas, I'm not joking that I talked to somebody a few months ago who grew up in Hallettsville and lived there in the 90s, and they had not heard of the place. And Hallettsville is not big.
No.
And Kolochny Barbecue has been open since 1989. And they're like in a residential area of Hallettsville. I mean, the downtown, the bank is north of the highway and they're south of the highway. And it is run by an older couple who has had it since 1989. It's only open on Saturdays and Sundays. And they open up at 10 o'clock in the morning. And if you get there 11, it's dicey, like, because there are a lot of people who call in their orders ahead of time. And so if you don't call in, you just call in your order. It's going to help you out. You go back in the pit room and you order. Irvin Kolachny will slice it off, and he stopped wrapping it in butcher paper, and he's got rotisserie chicken bags for everything. So like it's a little zip top bag, right? It's a rotisserie chicken bag, and he puts all the barbecue in there, and he can pile it all in because it's all the same price per pound. And when I realized like how special this place it was the first time I went in, and I could only get like sausage and chicken because I hadn't called in early, was that all of the customers, not all of them, but many of the customers came in with their barbecue pail. And that pail was a metal pot or whatever, and it had the tear weight of the pail in masking tape on the side of it. And so she'd take it, put it up on the scale, and minus the tear weight that's on that masking tape from that barbecue pail, and that was how much she charged them for their barbecue. And that is a place that is tied to a community, right?
Yeah.
And we put them on the list for the best new barbecue joint list in 2015, I believe. And the next time I went, I called in, and I said new because no one had ever written about this place. This is 2015. It's been open since 1989, and it had zero footprint online, like nothing on Yelp, Facebook, Google, like nothing. And so I wrote about it, included it on the list, and certainly patted myself on the back of letting people know where this barbecue joint, this unicorn of a barbecue joint was. And the next time I called in my order, I was like, okay, well, what's your name? Daniel. What's your last name? Vaughn. Are you from that magazine? I was like, yeah, Texas Monthly. I just want to tell you that if you're coming in here to put us on another list, don't. You can. I'll make your barbecue for you. Just please don't put us on another list. Like we don't have the energy. Like we want to serve our small town. And when I came in to get the order, I told her I couldn't promise anything, but she's like, maybe I was a little harsher on the phone than I wanted to come off. But really, we would rather not have that sort of publicity. It's just we can only cook so much food here, and we got regular customers to serve, and so
that's a true unicorn right there.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And
who has their understanding it in their place and their base totally square in mind.
So to Kolachny Barbecue, I'm sorry, but for the millions of listeners of the Smokeless podcast who are now going to descend
out of the bag.
on Hallettsville, Texas on Saturday and Sunday mornings, I'm sorry, but it'll just get the pork steak. And,
both of our listeners are going to be down there next week.
And house-made sausage.
But okay, so here's a place that's truly guarded about its culture that it created with its town. Are you seeing the culture of barbecue change just in general from when you first made your splash to now? I mean, 10 years, 12 years, there's a lot of time. We don't think of a decade really as being that long, but there's a ton of shit that's happened. Go back to, let's make the divide between 21st and 20th century. It seems to me that barbecue has sort of evolved out of a culture and moving more into a concept, away from its cultural roots and background. Just as you were saying earlier, cooking multiple different cuts, using everything locally sourced. That's how peasant food is developed, right? This is where we got a meat market. We got stuff coming out of the cabinet. This is what's going to go bad in 2 days. We're cooking that. We got a steak special today or tomorrow. And you don't see any of that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, Prowsey Meat Market was really the last one around that was a true meat market. Still operating as a true raw meat market that had barbecue in the back as a side business.
Yeah.
And, that closed in 2020 or 21. And when it closed, that was pretty much the only one left that was still like that. So yeah, as far as like those roots of Texas barbecue, like that culture, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like if there's a raw meat counter somewhere, it's for show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, no, here's a symbol of our barbecue past. And so that, that I think is gone for good. Just because people go to the grocery store to buy all their food. Like people go to the grocery store killed the meat market barbecue joint, right? Like the HEB meat counter.
Box stores and convenience and pricing.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, I said,
Because it's a different culture, right? That you see.
Well,
say,
one of the things I was
Roy Lewis.
Well, one of the things I was talking about though is talking to people about their motivations, and I certainly have seen a lot more here recently. Like the motivation for opening up a barbecue joint is to make it on the top 50 barbecue.
I was
list.
just
Right, and we
gonna say that.
Yeah.
briefly touched on that when
Yeah.
you guys were in Taylor.
And it's if like validation from my opinion is the reason that you're getting into this, it's just not going to be. It's not going to be very rewarding, right? Like you've got to, if you're going to open up any sort of restaurant, you need to do it so that you can like please your community, so that you can serve them something that they need. You can fill a hole that they have in their, in their cuisine or in their food community. And if that's not your motivation, then, yeah, that's going to be a tough one unless you get, unless you do get the accolade that you think is going to complete your life.
It never does,
No,
because now you're chasing the next one
right.
or a different ranking.
Well, and
and moving up.
the folks that got the Michelin star, I was at the event that night and, saw the beaming smiles of folks from Leroy and Lewis and Interstellar, La Barbecue and Corkscrew. And it was a great moment for Texas barbecue that they all got the star. And I was getting a drink at the bar with Evan Leroy. I was just like, well, don't have too many of these. They could be at your restaurant tomorrow.
Yes.
Like for next year. Like it is a constant thing with Michelin. At least with the top 50, it is like a finite, it's about a 6-month period where we go out and prepare for the next list.
Preparing for the list. How do you do that? So what is the criteria? Like back in the day when you had, when Pat and Joe Nick and
Paul Burka
and Jim Shaheen. I mean, they were putting this list together. It was a bunch of good old boys, right? Just who happened to be traveling around doing stories, eating barbecue while they were on the road. And they're like, this is what places we like, That criteria, whatever that was then, is I think that is a long memory away from what criteria might be today.
Oh yeah. If you were on that team and driving around and you found a new spot that had some decent barbecue, you're like, yeah, top 50 baby right there. Like no question. And you look back at our list from 2003 or 2008 and a lot of the places that were on there is like, the ones that are still open, most of them just wouldn't even be considered. I go back and look at photos even from Louis Miller. And look back at what you all were serving and the way that food looked back in 2012 or whatever, compared to what it looks like now.
Yeah,
and it does not. It's hardly recognizable minus the beef rib.
Yeah,
and so the criteria is the same as the first list I worked on in 2013. It's just that the places that meet that criteria have just exploded.
So what is the criteria?
Well, we have a big score sheet. So actually it goes back to like my whole job is a scouting mission for this top 50 essentially, right? Like I'm out there trying all the new barbecue joints that I can and writing about them. And then, so when we put together first, like this master Excel spreadsheet of all the places that we need to visit, to come up with the top 50. And so that is it's a pretty wide list. I think this last time, we had about 350 spots on it. And I think we ended up going to like 325 of them. Anyway, there were some of them that just were either closed or maybe decided to take weekends off a little too often. Like there's a reliability factor too. Like if we're going to put you in the top 50 and like you just decide to close up every other weekend because like your dog is sick, then it changes some things. But anyway,
okay.
Back to that big list.
Yeah.
So then we gather a team of people who are willing from the Texas Monthly staff to be on that team. And
which is how many now?
I think it was 25 this last time.
Wow, okay.
25. And there were some freelancers in there too. And so people whose opinion of barbecue we really respect. And so we basically split up the whole state in different regions and we assign a region to each one of those people. So this time around, I think everybody had somewhere like 13 to 15 different barbecue joints they needed to visit over a 3 to 4 month period. and then we have a very specific score sheet to fill out that is on a 5-point scale. The brisket, the ribs, the sausage, the poultry, and then we encourage as many detailed notes about sides and desserts and sauces and whatever atmosphere, just funny stories, anything that might make it into that really like short entry in the print issue, which is only about 110, 150 words. So then I gather all those score sheets up, and an intern puts them all into an Excel spreadsheet with all the scores, and then I pour over all those to determine all the spots that I need to revisit. Because in that 4-month period, I'm going out to eat as well. Like I have my own territory, but I'm also just trying to go out to as many barbecue joints as I can to get some sort of like recent opinion of them. In case they're in consideration based on the score that comes back. So I'm going to places that I think are going to be in consideration in that 4 months leading up to it. And then once I get that spreadsheet, it's like, all right, what are all the places I need to revisit? And this time around, it was like 100. And
That's a lot
that
of
was
food.
a lot.
And that was in 2 months. So in 2 months, I went to, I think I went to like 98 barbecue joints or something in from January 1st to basically March 1st.
Doesn't that blow out your palate by the number 96?
I do have to limit the amount of places in a day because it can't. Like it's really the salt thing.
Yeah, for sure.
There was actually one visit to Pecan Lodge like 5 or 6 years ago, and I remember, and it was for the top 50, and I remember sitting there eating it and was like, I can't taste the salt in this at all. Like this is that's a problem because I know they salt their meat.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't taste this. It's not working. Like I ate it too many places in the past week or day or whatever. I can't remember what, but I remember distinctly thinking like I can't really taste this.
Maybe you had COVID.
I didn't have COVID. It was pre-COVID. But it was so I scheduled another trip to come back and try it a different day because I could notice that it wasn't working. And so if I'm out there searching for like real contenders, about 3 a day is the max.
I'm surprised you can do that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it is just is trying little bits here and there, and so that in that 2-month period, it's places that are either like on the bubble, places that I have a score that is abnormally like, or I guess just higher than I was expecting or lower than I was expecting, and also just places that I think are going to have potential for the top 10. So I'm going to all different types of those places. So a lot of it is, these 3 places in Austin are really going head to head right now. So I'm going to go to those 3 places in one day, and one of them is going to win, or 2 of them are going to win, or, one of them is definitely going to lose. And so it doesn't require me to eat like a massive amount of each of the items I'm given. It's just, okay, eat a couple of slices of brisket, a couple bites of rib, sausage, and a few other things.
So is it possible? I mean, if Texas barbecue is evolving, I mean, that logically means that the criteria is going to evolve too, right? Around that. But are there any other ways to look at it? I mean, you said you guys split up regionally, and I know that that's just talking about geography, not necessarily, but like the regional differences of barbecue in the state, but that does exist. So is there any consideration that style by region in Texas becomes a thing? Is there a point in which it's not necessarily that it's like, oh, these are all the best, but these are all really great places to get brisket. These are all really great places to get this. There's a wild card. These places all do something, something outstanding. Like we're just trying to think about, if it is evolving, how does it evolve completely and totally with a list?
Well, I mean, I guess the counterpoint to that would be one of the big ways in which it's evolving is that that so many barbecue joints are just doing so much of it so well that when we look back at 2003 or 2008 and the honorable mentions, those were places that happen to have like one place made some good ribs or another one did a good sausage, and these days, like the honorable mentions, like there's 50 of them, and they are all just based on the fact that like these are all really great barbecue joints doing it
Across the board.
across the menu. And so, but that really shows how Texas barbecue has evolved, that there are just so many places that do it so well. But we have had discussions. They never went anywhere, but it was, all right, do we do a rural versus urban? And then, do we do 25 rural spots and 25 in the cities? And then, okay, well, what's urban and what's rural? Like, where's the dividing line? Do we look at places that are, places that are open a certain amount of days a week versus not? And like, do we look at that? Like, hobbyist wouldn't be the right word, but like more of like a part-time barbecue joint, like easy access barbecue versus not so easy access. Like, do we look at that divide? And then it really just all comes down to like, well, what is the dividing line between that? And then the other part is, how would restaurants who make it on one list or the other view it? Would they view it as less prestigious because it's not just everybody against everybody?
So it went from every 5 years to 4 years now.
Yeah.
Right. And looking at it in all these different ways, is that more stories in between the 4, or is it going to stick to like, no, it's going to be 4 and we're just going to throw all of this stuff into the conversation? Or can it be discussed more often?
I mean, it is every 4 years, and there are lots of stories in between. I write 2 every week,
right?
About different
but
places.
I mean, aside from a story, like the stories, but not necessarily other lists, but just kind of something that's not bigger than a story, but not quite a whole new list. Like, is that part of the conversation? Like, I'm saying like a lot, like, hey guys, like, I'm like my 14-year-old daughter right now, like, hey, like.
So like bigger barbecue packages throughout the intervening years. So I do the best new barbecue joint list, which is really just a way to reward some of those places that
When does that happen?
That happens in the 2 years, like 2 years after the top 50 comes out.
So
and that's just a way for new barbecue joints to get a different level of recognition for doing really great work. And not have to wait. Like, if they just opened up a few months ago, they don't have to wait 4 years to get some sort of like in-print recognition.
Right, they're killing it.
Right. So there's that. I mean, I would like to pursue some other bigger projects around barbecue that aren't just writing a lot of reviews. Writing a bunch of reviews every month.
What about globally?
Well, what do you, before we go there, like what? Like what kind of project?
It would start with you, sir, Wayne Miller.
Oh, really?
Yes, it would. I think if we're going to do any sort of family tree of barbecue, and I don't mean like family as in blood, but like, where different places where that pitmaster learned from. If we are going to do any sort of family tree of Texas barbecue, the obvious place to start would be with Louis Miller Barbecue, and it could grow up or down from there. I mean, certainly it would grow down from there as a family tree, but it could grow up from there and sideways too. But I think all the places that Louis Miller Barbecue has touched, whether it's all the places that John Miller opened up, and Leanne Miller, and then John Lewis from Law Barbecue, and then you've got Lance going over to Styles Switch. You've got just all the
Jackson and Houston.
Exactly. So you got Brett's Barbecue Shop and Katy.
Yeah.
So, and that's just the start of it. Like, there are so many spots and so many places that you have also, maybe they didn't work at Louis Miller, but they came to work with you for a longer period of time at the restaurant to really learn your ways and take them to, places across the pond. So I think the influence of Louis Miller Barbecue is really where to start with that sort of barbecue family tree. When it comes to Texas barbecue, it's just what would that look like visually, and how would we really connect some of those dots? The hardest one, like the most, like the dot that you really want to connect, is like Aaron Franklin to John Miller, right? Because Aaron Franklin worked for John Miller, and that talk about spreading the family tree in a whole lot wider direction after that.
Right.
But then, is that honest? Did Aaron Franklin, how much about barbecue did John Miller teach Aaron Franklin? And if you ask John Miller, rest his soul, he would say nothing. I didn't teach him anything. Like, I didn't really let him learn anything in the barbecue pit. But he did buy his old barbecue pit, and he did work there. So,
Yeah, I was joking with Aaron earlier this week just about the fact that he and I share something that I don't share with anybody else in the barbecue industry, and that's the commiseration that we have of having to deal with my brother and sister, because it was never easy. And some of the stories that I've heard from them about things done back to Aaron was just like, this is insane. These people are freaking nuts. I can't believe it. I can't believe Aaron hasn't taken legal action in some of these cases.
Yeah. Well, it's I don't know. It's good to see Allie thriving. She seems to be taking the whole Michelin star thing and taking it to a different level, and bringing a different level of hospitality to La Barbecue.
Yeah, for sure. That's good for her. I've heard that she may be looking at expanding.
Yeah, she's there'll be it won't be called La Barbecue. I'd have to go back and look to make sure, but it'll be in Portland.
Yeah.
Yes, Portland, and it's called Lil Barbecue. Lil Barbecue. L-I''L. Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, when we were talking about this evolution of barbecue and Aaron Franklin, I think, and I mentioned this to him too, this is where I see this divide. He is the last person that I really know of who built their own equipment and then worked the process out. Because 20th century, that's what everybody did. They built their own thing and they ran their own thing, and it was all unique. Everybody's process and equipment was unique. After Aaron and the internet and video on demand, it's homogenized the industry in a way that I never saw coming, to a point now where so much brisket is so good across the board using that same model and equipment, type of equipment, that it's taken up. I think urban barbecue in many cases has taken on a steakhouse kind of position.
Oh yeah,
both in
that's
price
interesting.
point and in the way that, I mean, you're cooking on 1800 degrees, broiler, and everybody's doing it the same way. Maybe maybe somebody's throwing out a hot
There's
plate.
only so much you can do with different cuts or different quality cuts of meat.
Yeah. So it looks to me that homogenization both has helped the industry by raising the quality, but it has also taken uniqueness out of what the barbecue places are known for. It's put that to the side.
So,
everybody's put their own stamp aside for the flag.
Yeah.
Right. And they'll make their mark in sides or desserts or, special sausage, whatever it might be.
Well, two things on that. One is like the thing that barbecue has an advantage over steakhouses is a lot of people who complain about steakhouses just say, I just would rather cook my own at home because it takes like 20 minutes. Brisket can't do that.
Yep.
You can't just make your own at home in 20 minutes. So barbecue will always have that big advantage. But I would say Smokey Joe's here in Dallas and Chris Manning is a really good example of that problem that you're talking about, but also maybe a bit of a solution to it as well. And he took out the old brick pit, the historic brick pit that was inside Smokey Joe's, because it caught his roof on fire a lot, and that became a problem.
Yeah,
and he also wanted to make really great brisket, and the thing that pit was never designed to do was make great brisket. So he ripped that out, built a new pit room on the back, got two 2,000-gallon offset smokers like you see in pit rooms across the country now, across the world, and now the brisket is great. And it wasn't before. And, now he's in the top 50. But one of the things that he really held on to is something important, and an important look back to his dad and business partner who opened Smokey Joe's, was that the ribs were still going to be done the same way. They weren't going to be done in the old brick pit, but he was going to season them the same way, still do the spare ribs, not go into a bunch of black pepper or glaze or anything like that, and not move over to oak with them. He was going to stick with the oak for the briskets and stick with hickory for his ribs. And those ribs are still one of the things that I crave so much. And it is simply because they are different than everybody else's.
Yeah.
Because he kept them the same.
Yeah.
They're kind of have a hammy flavor to them because it's the salt is doing a lot more work than any sort of pepper or any sort of sugar or anything like that. And it just tastes like pork on a bone, like with some smoke. Like it's so delicious, and it doesn't look like much. Like it doesn't glisten. I think I said something to you about your new rib recipe, like, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. It's like, you had to add that brush on there to get that glisten, so they look sexy for the Instagram camera. And that's something that I do think pitmasters and barbecue joint owners do need to think about, is like, how does their food look on Instagram? And Chris Manning's just like, I don't care. These ribs, like, they are what they are, and you take a bite of them and you're going to love them. And he's right. So he's been able to sort of toe that line. He also tried to start making dry pinto beans and savory pinto beans from like dry beans. Like, hey, I'm doing them the right way, everybody. And his customers are like, hell no. Like, I need those. You need to get those canned beans back here with sugar and ground beef, and I'm not coming back until I have those beans again. And so he learned a little something about the right way isn't always the best way.
Yeah, especially when you've already set that precedent, right? You touched on that earlier, how we get hamstrung oftentimes. The older places, you can't change much. And if you do, it's got to be incremental over long periods of time.
Yeah, but now you got all these Samsung people coming in, so you can make all the pulled pork you want, and they're going to buy it up.
That pulled pork is, it moves, but spare ribs, the St. Louis ribs move a lot.
Maybe that was just a one-time thing, but I went into Louis Miller, and there were people in like really nice dress shirts, and
yeah, they're the only ones.
And they were going over to the reserved tables over in the side dining room, and one after the other. What are you getting? What do you got? We're gonna get pulled pork sandwich. Pulled pork sandwich. Pulled pork sandwich. I was like, what the hell are y'all here for?
Some habits die hard. People don't want to step outside their comfort zone. Pork is what you're accustomed to. We see it all the time, right? The only reason we have it on the menu is because of the influx of travelers coming from the South who want to have pork on options, want to have a pulled pork sandwich, want to have pork ribs. And otherwise, they're kind of like, well, I guess I'll have some brisket. Damn, really want a pulled pork sandwich. All right, man, I'll work on that. But that's the whole reason it exists for us. Just act as a transition meat, or protein. Try to get some people in.
A transition meat.
Yeah.
I like that. I think
spoken like an old school pitmaster.
in the drug world, it's a gateway drug.
It's a gateway
meat.
protein.
Okay, it's a gateway meat. I like it. Gateway barbecue.
Yeah, we're trying to move them out of pork, though. But now I'm trying to move them back.
Yeah.
You want to know the truth? I'd rather sell a shitload of chicken and pork than I would brisket at this point. It's for every reason you can think of, until it can settle its ass down and that not cause me so many damn headaches. Just the prep out on it alone. People don't realize. Most people don't realize that, any product you're dealing with a 50% loss right off the top, not even talking about carving yields, that's a tough pill to swallow. Just there. They're looking at, well, I can go down and get this brisket for $80. Yeah, but what's it worth after you put the time, effort, process to it?
Yeah.
Your brisket may still be worth $80, but ours has got to be worth more.
All right. Well, can I ask you all three a question and like an individual answer from y'all, if possible?
Okay.
And that is, with all this doom and gloom and prices suck and this business is hard, and what joy do you get out of running a barbecue joint and serving barbecue these days? And you can say none. That could be an answer, but what joy do you get out?
So I hate saying and hearing that it's hard all the time. It is, and we all know that, right? But I think it's not why we do it. It's a part of it, but I still get immense joy from the hospitality side. And, that's why I got into this business anyway. I didn't choose for it to be barbecue. Barbecue just happened. I wanted to be a restaurant owner. I wanted to own a restaurant because I wanted to, hospitality is just a thing that I'm passionate about. And so, that's what it's about to me. Barbecue is the vehicle for our hospitality, to be able to take someone and give them that a really great experience. We're across from 2 hospitals, and it's not always a happy time for some people. And I try to remind myself all the time, hey, you can't take things personally. That if you see someone who's just looks like they're having a really bad day, they might really be having a really bad day. This is their oasis to get away from it and have a meal, catch their breath, and our interaction and the way we treat them in that moment is probably affecting them more deeply than you'll ever know. But it's a huge part of what we do. It's not always about that, but we have to remember those moments. And those are the things that really make me happy, and I think make my team happy. It's still just the old school, hey, how are you doing? Like, welcome, walking them through the process, teaching somebody about something new or why what we do at Stanley's is different. We have live music. It's a whole other great experience. And our bar and our bartenders, they're just some of the greatest people you'll ever meet. And, we don't do the sold out at 1:00 in the afternoon thing anymore. We just couldn't. And we had to figure out a way to be open longer to survive. And yes, that is harder, but I think anyone who has a job that is, especially in this industry, yeah, it's hard, but I just really still love the hospitality interaction and my personal evolution at Stanley's of coming into something that I didn't choose, not doing it the greatest way, and then figuring out, even over close to 20 years now, how to progressively get better at this thing that is really difficult in the culinary world to do. And so, I mean, all of those things I'm super proud of and stoked to get to do every day.
All right. Beat that one, Wayne. Or Justin, you got one in the chamber here?
I mean, for me, it's very similar, I think. I mean, it's the day-to-day interactions in the dining room, talking to people, early on, I think it was a little bit more about the competitive nature of it kicked in with me. But the longer I've been around and more of the cycles I've seen, it really comes down to the people. It comes down to these guys and, the relationship I have with other pitmasters in the state, and then just people that are coming through the restaurant. I was there today and there was a couple that was in there eating and they'd been down with us since the farmer's market. And it's just, it's, to me, there's nothing that can beat that, really, at the end of the day.
And what about all the new customers coming in because you've touched Tom Cruise?
Well, I'll take new customers any way I can get it, whether they've touched Tom Cruise or not.
No, you have. So they can, yeah.
So, yeah, the other day.
Let them smell your hand.
Oh, yeah. I haven't watched this one yet.
Oh, yeah. You took your glove off.
Yeah. But the other day somebody came in and literally had me pose in the same position I was posing in with him to take a picture.
Really?
And that was a little bit weird.
Were they dressed like Tom Cruise or?
No, thank goodness. But,
okay.
But there was a phone number given and, a daughter introduced to me and all kinds of.
Was there a dowry involved?
Possibly.
All right. Mission Possible.
Oh yeah, man. Joy. I what is that?
All right. And we're done.
I tend to gauge my life in terms of fulfillment rather than joy. Joyous moments happen. It's sort of like chasing happiness. Happiness is empty calories as far as I'm concerned. They're just dopamine shots. Fulfillment is more deeply centered in me. It's having a goal. It's fighting your way through the goal to obtain it, to retain it, or to grow from it. But it's that path. That to me is fulfilling, being able to accomplish something, especially if people say that you can't do it.
Well, does that allow you to enjoy anything along the way, or only if you reach the goal?
Oh, no, I think the joy absolutely comes later in life. It doesn't necessarily happen at the moment, but as you evolve yourself personally, your values, your characteristics, your personality characteristics start to see things differently from people, differently through experiences. I think your empathy field of view widens incredibly wide. And I wouldn't call it joy, but I certainly would call it communion. And in the communion with people, you realize that everybody's got their shit to deal with, right? And everybody's not have, a silver spoon, and some people have it really tough. And if you can touch people in those times and it helps them relieve some of the pressure of whatever the world is crushing them with at the moment, and you can see it in their eyes, right? You can feel it in their touch. It's something that goes beyond joy. It's beyond fulfillment. It's beyond joy. It's a communion with an individual that somehow you guys are definitely on the same plane, and it touches me in a way that not many things can. And it can be a guest, it can be a staff member, hell, it could be a supplier. I've been given this golden opportunity to meet and interact with people of all walks of life from all over the world, and you find consistently that people they struggle. There's a lot of it there, and people just really are impressed by the fact that somebody will take a time out of their life just to recognize them, say, I see you, I hear you, and connect with them on some level. And what that does later down the road for them, I really don't know, but for me, those things leave indelible marks. And so for me, my definition of joy would be this pearl string of all of those incidences and events in my life that string together. I find joy in all of that. That whatever I've gone through, if I can somehow connect with you because of it, then that's very fulfilling to me. It didn't seem like what I went through was for nothing, right? There was some sort of mission, some sort of shaping that helped build me and mold me in a way that I wouldn't have developed without it. So, yeah, I mean, I have happy moments. Of course, we all do, but true joy, it's like, when the hell was the last time I felt true joy? My daughter's birth, I mean, something like that. I'm kind of a reserved dude.
Too much fear mixed with that joy.
Yeah. You don't want to mess it up, right? It's just like, oh, geez, I'm responsible for that. Oh my God, I'm going to fuck it up. Please. Just this once, Yeah. But, I mean, my path, what I've dealt with. I mean, there's not been a lot of joy in dealing with my family in particular. And so that took a lot of things away from me that I wasn't able to feel because I couldn't allow myself. It would be emotionally too draining. So you have to build a firewall, to just corner yourself off from a lot of this, because if you don't, it'll blow you apart. It'll rip you up. And I couldn't afford to do that. I mean, I made a promise. I made a promise to Dad I was going to do the best I could to make sure this continued on. And I can't be distracted in dealing with all of these other issues. And like I said, that makes you very narrow focused. It makes you look down instead of out. And it's only after getting out away from the temple,
the relief,
that you can actually start to see the world a little broader. Right. And so, yeah, as hard as traveling is, it's, the personal side of it has been very rewarding.
Well, I'm glad to see y'all out here this weekend, because, I mean, that is like what we're trying to do, is get people together. I heard the first episode that y'all were talking about how you just don't talk to a lot of other pitmasters, or, besides the three of y'all. And I was thinking to myself, well, it's because we never see y'all at the festivals anymore. Like, and so, this is I'm looking forward to this one because it is a lot of people who I haven't really hung out with for a while. So,
Well, yes, and I miss that. That's the one thing
Mhm.
about festivals I
We
miss.
all do. We all miss it.
And truth be told, this is what barbecue competitions have known forever, right? They go to win, yes, of course, because they want bragging rights. But truth be told, it's about all of them getting together and just tying it on for 3 days, and trying to drive home or have somebody drive them home. It's been a blowout for since Thursday night.
yeah, where's the cooler?
Yeah, exactly. But you know what I mean? And so they figured this out a long time ago. And unfortunately at festivals, we just there's not enough time to really do that. Right. I mean, some people will cook there, which is takes a toll on you. So a lot of people have come to just taking the food prep. I mean, we're totally guilty of it.
It's not guilty.
Well,
Just being smart about it.
Well, and just you only have so much energy and time, man. I mean, there's only so much you can do, and you burn it at both ends. You realize after a couple of years,
you burned it at both ends for several years.
there
was no festival that you could show up where Wayne Miller wasn't going to be there.
We were talking about this too. How old were people when they first got into barbecue? And these guys in particular, and Aaron as well. It's like late 20s, maybe early 30s. I'm like, I stepped in, I was like 42, 43. I'm 15 years down the road from everybody else. Talk about a late bloomer, right? And so, but I felt like I had a lot of things to prove. And so
but you didn't have as many miles on you at 43.
Well,
from barbecue. I mean,
not from barbecue.
Not from barbecue.
I had a lot of miles. They just didn't smell smoky, and look sooty. And yeah. But that's still it's an advanced age to start trying to pull this sort of routine out of your butt, And, it takes a toll just like it does on everybody else. It's just now I'm 60
and wise.
Shit. Wise.
You're the go, dude.
I'm still upright. It's going to take more than that, I guess, to put me under, but I wouldn't trade any of the relationships that I've developed with everyone over the years for anything. However, if the choice was given to me and Dad asked me to come back again, knowing what I know, I wouldn't do it. The price was too high.
Right. But you were never going to know at
No.
the time.
No, there's no, because I'm still under the mindset, that I'm invincible to a great degree, that I can just will myself to do whatever I need to do. And if it's splitting time and I get 1 hour of sleep a week, then that's just what I'm going to do. I'll be with my daughter here and I'll be at the restaurant here. It never works out that way.
Well, 12 years ago, if I could go back and make the decision to leave my job in architecture, go around and eat barbecue and write about it full time, I think I might make the same decision.
Yeah. Can't say I blame you.
It's a pretty good job.
How does your family feel about eating barbecue?
My daughter this morning just sent me a photo. I was out eating barbecue this actually is a perfect encapsulation. So I brought home barbecue from a meal that I had 2 days ago. I had like some sausage and ribs and chicken. No, some sausage, ribs, brisket. I chopped it all up, put it in the fridge. Is like, all right, chopped barbecue for anybody to use. My son used it on a stuffed baked potato that he made at home. I mean, I made the baked potato, but anyway, stuffed baked potato that he made at home. And then this morning I was like, hey, bud, you want to go out and eat some barbecue? No. And my wife doesn't really like barbecue. My daughter was headed to another party, but to a birthday party. But before she went, while I was out eating barbecue, she sends me a photo of her breakfast tacos that she made. She's like, look pretty good, Dad. What do you think? And it was all the chopped up barbecue with eggs. And as she put it, like enough cheese to give a small child a heart attack. And that's what she chose to eat. So it's like, they like barbecue. They certainly appreciate really good barbecue. They know that if we are out together eating barbecue at several places, that they know to wait for me to tell them this is where we're going to these places, but this is where we're eating lunch.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
and so they know that. I think they certainly have a better appreciation of really great barbecue than most kids their age. But as far as wanting to go out with dad on a barbecue road trip these days, they're fewer and further in between.
Yeah.
I think the first time we met at the farmer's market, you were wearing a baby carrier, carrying your daughter around.
Yeah.
How old was she?
That
How old, do you
sounds
remember
about
how old
right.
she was? She was young, very little.
So yeah, so she was born in 2009. So
Okay.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, back in the old farmers market days.
Mhm.
Yeah, back with Guy Fieri coming in.
Yep.
And all the like strange happenings at the farmers market.
The city.
With the
City,
city
yeah, that was-
screwing things around. Yeah, that was yeah, wow. It does. I'm sure it seems like forever ago for you as well.
It's crazy. You know, our son was at the restaurant with us. He had his pack and play in the office, and you know, he's 17 now. Going off to college here pretty soon.
Yeah.
A year and a half.
Wow.
Flies by. Really flies by.
And if you see the Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives episode for Pecan Lodge, you will see both me and my wife featured. Not featured, included, but in no way were our names mentioned or anything like that. But yeah, my wife was talking about how much she loves the fried chicken. That was back when she but when she tolerated eating wheat.
Yes.
And so like, that's how long ago that was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we all change, I guess. Myself, everyone here, I think we've all changed, and this cuisine has sort of helped us evolve in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
What is this whole ride? How has it changed you?
Well, I'm fatter than when I started back in, yeah.
Yeah. Add me to that list.
Do you have a statin prescribed?
Yeah.
to you
So
now?
yes, statin for sure. Yeah. I don't know, blood pressure medication, cholesterol medication.
Well, you said that there was.
Certainly, like it's harder to find joy in going out to eat at a barbecue joint as well. Like,
sure,
and that's really the same for any restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, it's a constant evaluation. Like, I can hardly ever turn it off. Like, I'm always thinking about how, like, yeah, I'm evaluating all the food that's coming out. Like, I will evaluate my own food to my guests at my house. Just like, oh well.
So it's always on.
It's pretty much always on. There are a few places I can go, and there are a few places I can go. Like when I went to Bodacious and got that Melman, like that was a gift to me. The Bodacious in Longview that I went to last week, that was a gift to me. Like, I don't need to think about this. I just want chopped brisket and sausage together on a sandwich with a bunch of barbecue sauce and pickles and onions. And
That's
I
my
want
go-to order: chopped brisket sandwich
and
a bunch of sauce.
I want to devour it and enjoy it and not have to think about anything else, like about where it ranks in the in the echelon of barbecue sandwiches, or even in the rest of the barbecue that day. So I certainly am more often recognized at barbecue joints. When I was going around the US, that was really when it became more apparent that like how many people knew my face. It was surprising to go. It's not surprising anymore to go into a barbecue joint in Texas and be recognized.
And see the sign behind the counter.
But to go in,
if you see this guy,
but to go into like Edenton, North Carolina, or Edenton, North Carolina, and go into Old Colony Smokehouse and have the owner look up from the kitchen, like just looking through the line, and then the double take, and it's like, how does this guy have any idea who I am? And comes and sits down after my food is served to ask how everything is. And so that part is a whole lot different. Thanks somebody feed Phil. I think that has something to do with it being on that show. But
is there an expiration date to this version of yourself? Is this something
I don't know, like
does it survive you, or does it end with you? Is it like when you hang it up, is there a barbecue snob junior? Is there someone else who's going to be the new barbecue editor?
Nobody's been chosen yet, and we don't have anybody in training or anything like that. So I really don't know. I haven't really thought about it all that much. Like we got the next top 50 will be in 2029 and I will be 51. I don't know. That seems kind of old to be driving all over the state and eating 3 barbecue joint meals a day and 98 barbecue joints in 2 months. But I don't know. We'll see. But no, I don't have any different plans or anything right now. The red dots on my map are getting fewer and fewer. That's for sure. And it's getting harder to just go out on a road trip, just like, I just want to drive a few hours east. Let's see what's out there. Like nothing that I haven't been to.
Yeah.
And it's getting more and more like that.
Yeah. The surprise is leaving your life. Everything is known or predictable.
Yeah. I mean, most any.
It's time for you to start skydiving.
Maybe jogging. But if there's, it's like the thing is, like I almost know that if I haven't heard about it and I see it and I haven't been there, that it's probably not going to be very good. Like that's just the rule, right? And if it's good, I will have heard about it before I go. Like somebody's going to be talking about it, and so the big surprises just aren't there anymore.
Yeah, I guess you're going to. Have you seen a retraction yet? Have you seen that bloated barbecue?
Yeah, I mean there was some. I think there were some places I have no idea why they closed, but right after the top 50 came out, and some places that didn't make the top 50, but were honorable mentions, ended up closing. Moot's Barbecue out in Winnie closed the day after the list came out. Brick's Barbecue in Fort Worth, they closed down last month.
Someone in San Antonio just closed, right? They've been there for 12 years.
I'm not sure.
Saw that.
Okay. Yeah. But there certainly is a retraction, but I mean, it's also the restaurant business.
Yes.
And there's going to be a retraction, whether it has anything to say about barbecue specifically or not.
It happened in the craft beer industry like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a new brewery every time you turned around, everywhere you looked, and they're all disappearing like crazy right now.
Yeah. Well, at this point, gentlemen, you're going to have way too much editing to do to get this down to a reasonable conversation. So.
Yeah. I think the whole thing has been a reasonable conversation. I really do appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
It's really kind of you to make time out and sit down and visit with us. It's
not. I like sitting down to talk to y'all. Like if it has to be in this forum to get y'all together, microphones and headphones, then so be it. But yeah. It's good to see y'all in a room.
It's great to see you too, Danny. Thank you so much for doing this.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Any closing words? Words of inspiration to everyone listening?
I think we got 8 barbecue joints, so we got to go eat at out here at this festival. I'm
looking forward. Coming to Epic Center, 6 to 9.
I don't think this is going to air before the event, so.
We're live, Daniel.
Next year,
this is being
we're streaming.
Yeah. Get on down here.
I'm not going to read the outro.
I don't care.
And we've never done this before with this, but Wayne put so much work into preparing these. It was useful, but
I'm glad something was useful.
Also didn't need it,
but he's not going to let me see it.
You can have
it. You can have it. I'll give it to you. It's your parting gift.
As long as you give us the criteria for the judging sheets for.
It's out there.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I don't get on the internet for things.
Okay. Yeah.
Or social media
for things like
information. Yes.
I'm
accused of being a shadowy secret figure to being way too out there and having too many conversations with barbecue joint owners. Yeah. It's one extreme or the other is the problem.
Huh.
Familiarity. Screw it. You should have relationships with as many as you can. Because I mean,
is that an offer? You got an extra room and
I do. If you don't mind the cats,
You travel with your cats?
Sometimes. Just don't tell anybody. Yes. Well, it's party time. Guys,
thank you.
I think this is a wrap.
All right.
Yeah. Good job, everyone.
All right.